All right, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and today we are looking across the property I had cleared. It's still very muddy. If you look towards the center of the screen, you'll see one single tree out there with some surveyor's tape on it. That is a tree where I have hung my antenna, and I had to take it down to allow the guys to come in with the skid steer and to clear all the property. And so I had to run a net this morning, and so I had to go out yesterday and walk through all that mud and then rehang the antenna. It's a dipole antenna, and I've got it up about 10-11 feet. That way my tractor can go underneath it when I'm going back and forth. But it's very, very muddy, and so I'm grateful that I went ahead and seeded this with winter rye a couple days ago, because I'm not going out there for another couple days. It's just too wet and muddy. But once I get the rye and then the grass down, it'll be a lot better. So I have a few more things to talk about, but we'll do that in the truck. I've got to go run some errands, so hang in there. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, I'm back. Gonna run a few chores today, run a few errands, and get a couple other things done when I can't work on my property. Like I said, it was suck your boot off your foot muddy, and so we're going to give it a couple days to settle down, and hopefully some of that winter rye will start growing. But I did want to talk about a few things. One is that corona, that novel coronavirus has landed in the United States. They are now talking at somewhere, they've got 2 confirmed cases and 10 to 14 suspected cases. And so that being said, you know, depending on the vehicle for transmission and how easily it goes from person to person, it could spread pretty rapidly. And it's supposed to be a pretty nasty strain. I read this morning on the news that the U.S. is chartering some airplanes to get U.S. citizens out of China. That's a pretty strong step. And so they're going to try and get all the U.S. citizens out of there, especially that area, was it Wuhan, where they suspect the virus started. So this could be a pretty serious thing. And I'm hoping that everybody out there, that you are taking care of your preps. You know, besides my 4 questions: do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Can you maintain sanitary conditions? And can you defend your family? You know, do you have enough medications? Do you have enough NyQuil or Alka-Seltzer or Robitussin, whatever it is you use? Do you have enough of that? I went to the store the other day to buy a couple more bottles of NyQuil. We like it at night. And the one store I had gone into, it was wiped out. The shelves were empty. And I imagine that it's only going to get worse as this virus, and plus it's cold season, you know, makes its way around. So be careful and stock up. I'm not saying buy a case of it, but you know, give yourself enough to help you make it through the night, so to speak. Also keep other anti-inflammatories and fever breakers such as Tylenol or Aleve or naproxen, sodium naproxen, or ibuprofen, I guess is the generic names of them. But make sure you have enough, because that all can become very important. In addition, for those that have homeopathic medicines, you know, there's elderberry syrup, there is comfrey, there's a couple others you can take. And also too, you know, this could be serious enough where you may be having to wear a mask when you go somewhere. And you know, most people recommend an N95 mask that you can wear over your mouth. It's important because that's how one way the disease is transmitted. So make sure you have some masks. Make sure you carry some with you. And one of the things that I do is I use some essential oils for some things, not for everything. but there's a brand called doTERRA, and they make a blend called, they call it On Guard, and it's kind of like thieves oil, and thieves oil is very good, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. It does a lot of different things, but to make a long story short is if things get really bad, you may want to put a drop or two of that, on your mask to help alleviate or help prevent catching the virus. The original formulary for that was called thieves oil, and legend has it that during the Black Plague days of the 1500s, these four thieves would use this formulary to put on masks when they would rob dead people who died of the plague and they didn't get the plague. And so that's where that kind of comes from. There is one company out there, I believe they have the trademark thieves oil. I think another name might be Deliverance, depending on who you get it from, but it may behoove you to have some of that, if you're so inclined to use essential oils. We use them, and to me they work. So keep that thought in mind. And another thing I want to talk about is here in Georgia, there is currently a Senate bill that is, I think it's under review. I forget the term they use, but it's been referred, I think is the term, and it is a gun control / gun grab that basically bans all semi-auto firearms, and it's written very poorly, and that's why I say all, because if you read it one way, if it's a semi-auto, they could possibly ban it. They want to limit magazines to 10 rounds. It's not a good bill. It's SB 281. That's Sierra Bravo 281, and it's in the Georgia State Senate. I don't think it's going to pass, but for all you Georgia folks out there, now might be a good time to contact your state representatives, your state government representatives, and remind them that you believe in the Second Amendment, and that a state should not, take those rights away from you. I also recommend, and this is something I did, is I contacted my county representatives, and I recommended that they consider making my county a sanctuary county, just to prevent some of this stuff. For those of us that live out in rural parts of the country, help isn't 5 minutes away. Help isn't 10 minutes away. Help might not be 20 minutes away. And so, we have an obligation to our families to be able to defend ourselves. And I say the word defend until such time as, law enforcement authorities can arrive. Nothing against them, but, they cover a lot of territory and they can't be everywhere at once. So until such time as they show up, we may have to defend ourselves, and I want to have that right to be able to defend myself. And I think most people do. So contact your representatives, contact your local, state, and even federal. Remind them how you feel about that. So that's really all I kind of have for now. I may add something a little bit later. Like I said, I'm running a couple errands today, so if I don't come back on, everybody stay safe and stay secure.